Welcome. This is the Simply King podcast, and this is your boy Rodney Perry, the King himself. And you just tuned into the Soulfully Conscious podcast for humans, simply being humans. And today is yet again a very special one. I have a return guest that I'm so glad to have back. It's been so long, so much has changed, so much has happened.
Yeah,
Pandemics,
big
people
it
have
up.
went all around the world, moved, went on vacation, went on hiatus, went on sabbaticals, so much in between us, and I'm so glad to have her back because it was a phenomenal episode the first time you came on, and I really believe that it's going to be even greater one because I think it's even more about who you are and more about what has transpired with you and what has inspired you. So I welcome the multi-talented, the extremely incomparable Kaya Nova. How you
Oh
feeling?
gosh, I feel really good. That was such a beautiful welcome. You made me feel like I've been doing something with my life.
Oh, you've been doing a lot now. You've been doing a lot now. You've been doing a lot now, Lily. Right before I got on this call with you, I was talking to a friend of mine who works in the music industry, and I was like, he was asking me what I was doing today, and I was like, well, I'm planning on interviewing Kaya Nova later. Have you heard of Grown Magazine? I led with that. You know what I'm saying? I know how to promote something. You know what I'm saying? I led with that, and he was like, that sounds so familiar. And then I said your name. He was like, nah, I definitely heard that name. He was like, I definitely heard that name. And then I gave him a little bit of a spiel. I was like, you might have heard it from the music too. He was like, I think that's what it is.
Oh
Um,
wow,
so yeah, you still, yeah, girl, you did a lot. You done did some things. You know what I'm saying? You done the things. You feel me? But no,
thank you.
I would love to know, how have you been? Because a lot has happened in the world. A lot has happened since the last time we spoke on this
Yeah,
mic
what year was that?
specifically. But how have you been? Because a lot has changed for you.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what year it was.
I
That
want to say it was 2018, either
oh,
2017 or 2018,
okay.
right?
So that was either when I like had just moved back to New York City,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't even know where to begin. Like so much has changed in very beautiful ways. I think
Yes.
like that's the thing about New York, and I'm very blessed to have like all of both sides of my family be New Yorkers. So like coming back here honestly just felt like coming back home. But New York really will test you, and it really brought out parts of my personality that needed to be a little louder, let's say.
Mm.
Um, and I was definitely just playing it too soft. I was playing life too soft. And New York definitely brought some challenges my way that told me, like, look, you don't have to be loud with people sometimes. You don't have to stand up for yourself. Like, if this is something you really want to do, you're going to have to walk
Right.
in this room and let it be known. So
Right.
I knew I couldn't, like, backseat my life anymore. And it gave me a lot of, like, just empowering parts of my character that I didn't have, like, way more
Mm.
confident,
Mm.
um, way more sure of myself, way less naive. I think I came out here just like so like I'm gonna be a star and I'm gonna perform and I'm gonna and all of that did happen. And then I got to a point where I was just like life can be so much bigger than this like one dream I thought it was supposed to be. So now I'm like
Mm.
settling into a life that is just so much fuller,
Yeah.
like and just so much
Yeah.
more expansive than what was that like 20, 23, 22 year old me thought it could even be.
I think what inspired me to bring you back was you kind of recapping and doing that reflective post on TikTok, and I think it was so. I think it for one. I think you've always like I've said to you before, like you've always been great with words, and I think being great with words kind of gives a great pathway to be great at telling a story and find that correlation of just sequential elements to kind of make something make sense. And I think it was just the way that you put it. It was even the music. It was everything it put. I was like, damn, girl, like this feels damn like a
I've
wow.
been working hard. I've been even TikTok be in my drafts for like weeks, okay? Because I
Look,
just be like trying to fine tune them.
it was you got that one off because I was like I just sat there and I just scrolled and like read what you put with it and I was like damn this is so inspiring because it's like I've been really big on telling a lot of my friends who feel like they're in this real interesting impasse in their lives to kind of just allow the thread to go all the way through. Like don't stop and think that there's something wrong or that just you need to get off this ride or give up on a particular thing. Like just keep doing it. You know, there's
Yeah.
gonna be something that happens that lets you know that you gotta do a hard pivot. You don't gotta
Oh
do
yeah.
it, you know, preemptively
Yeah.
because you either are afraid or it's not working out in a certain way, or a lot of people are telling you that you need to, hey, you need to do something else. This ain't working in the speed in which they thought it would. But you got to stick to your
Hmm.
plan and stick to your journey. And I think that you are a really great example of, you know, continuously growing in whatever it is that life brought you. And the through line that I've pointed out to you is that it's words for you. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yes.
your grasp around language has been the common denominator that I've
Hmm.
noticed just from, you know, being somebody who, you know, really admires and is inspired by the work that you've done. So it's like it's if no matter what it is, that is the thing that's going to get you there.
Yes.
'Cause,
Yes.
you know, because it's like if you know if it was when it was the music and when it became grown and when it, you know, was just, you know, in the in between, just being expressions of your life through the tweets, through the various
Hmm.
different writings that you gave, but also just in the way that you helped other people. I think that all those things are, you know, based in the words of it all, you know.
Yeah.
um and I think that that really really matters a lot to me, because I am a person who sees that in myself to a degree. It maybe, you know, I may do it in a different way, but it feels good to know that, you know, that you can earn what you know what you work for when that's something that you
Yeah.
center into your life and that you still care about. Because I think we live in a world where, you know, people don't really care about certain things. Like people don't read as much as they used to. They don't consume as much, you know, literature, and they also want things to be kind of, you know, spoon fed to them. It's good to know
Yeah.
that there are people doing it in various different ways and connecting to mediums that shouldn't die and still can be, you know, transformed. I
Yeah.
would love to
Absolutely.
talk to you about Grown Magazine because that's the new edition from the last time we spoke.
Mhm.
And what really inspired you to like make this into something that was past, something that felt like, you know, something simple and something that was an outlet just for you?
It's funny. I was talking to my friends the other day, and I was like, I think I'm Khadijah James. Like, I think from Living Single, I'm like, I think I'm Khadijah. Like, I have a flavor magazine. Like, where did that come from?
Big,
But
big,
no,
yeah,
I think,
big Khadijah, for real.
but I think grown is just such an embodiment of what God can make happen when you
Mm,
just like make the space. Because when I say that, I think people look at me like I've been working behind the scenes making all these like super brilliant decisions to like,
yeah,
get grown to where it's supposed to be. And I'm like, no, the decisions come and I'm just like, okay, let's figure out how to like be the platform that can handle this ask, or let's figure out how we can like just handle this one thing that's happening and then move on to the next thing. Like I very much have just been like open to what God wanted to make this space be.
hmm,
Um, and have been like figuring it out along the way because I had no choice.
yeah,
So we would get like, emails of like, hey, can you guys come cover this event? And it'll be like, a super big event, or it'll be like, oh, this celebrity wants to do an interview. Can you guys? And I'm like, how are y'all even finding us? Like, I don't understand. So I am just as like blown away by like what it's become. I never intended for it to be this.
mm,
But I think it's taken me a while to get comfortable with the fact that yes, I'm an artist that also has a media company. Because for a while I was just like, it feels like I'm doing too many things. Like no one's gonna take me seriously as an artist that also has a magazine. Like what is that? Like I was just kind of like keeping it quiet that I was running this thing, which was so stupid. But whatever.
it's
Like
so
I just was
silly,
like,
yeah.
you know, I didn't have it in my bio. I was trying to like just play off like it wasn't mine. And then I was like, you know what? This is me. This is what I do. And then we had people like, Issa Rae come up and like she really like inspired me to like own all I do because,
Yes,
yes, she's also, an actress, a writer, directing. Now she has a production company and a music label. Like she has a whole empire around her. And
facts.
even people like Rihanna, just really spreading their talents. And so that gave me confidence to be like, all right, I'm just going to figure out and keep moving forward with this. And it's really become such a community, and it's honestly saved my own life because when my days are tough, because being a black
Mm,
woman is, not the easiest thing in the world, and I feel
right.
so alone and so unseen and so disrespected. Like I literally just like go to grow. Like whether I just like go to the Instagram page or I like, check on things that we need to get done. Like it feels kind of like activist work because that's
Mm,
really what it is.
I
And if I
like
didn't
that.
have that, I don't know. I really don't know where I would be. Like if I didn't have this dedication to something bigger than me,
Yeah.
yeah, I really don't know.
And you know, I really applaud you for, you know, leaning into that, because I think that, you know, that's what I felt like my podcast was for me once I found my voice, you know, in it. Was it felt like I was doing something to make a difference, because every time I would meet people and they would talk about, you know, from, you know, things they conversations they've never heard, people they've never known who do a certain type of thing. And I could be like, oh, I know. I've interviewed people who do that exact thing. I've had conversations about that multiple times. Being able to be the difference is
Yeah.
a really, really big thing of today. And I think I like I like I like the branding around Grown. I definitely was one of those people who definitely immediately seen that it was connected to you. Um, and I like the feel that it feels young, but
Yeah.
it feels young. It's funny to say that it feels young. It is called Grown.
No,
but you
honestly,
know,
that's
I don't
that's
want to get too
funny.
nerd out about branding and marketing, but it definitely like it feels young in a way of like in a like a coming of age type of way. You
Yes,
know, like
that's so funny that you've been able to pick apart the branding like that because it is very intentional.
yeah,
Because it is, I feel like Black women are all constantly stuck between this like you're grown or you're too grown, and then when you actually do become an adult, you still don't know what the hell you're doing. So you're like, I'm still young, but like
yeah,
so grown really is kind of like this like loaded term for us,
yeah.
like where it just means so many things. And one of the things that I always wanted to keep at the core of the branding is bright colors, because that's also
Hmm.
something, they tell us not to wear bright colors when you're dark skin girl. Like you can't
For sure.
do this, or if you're too dark, you shouldn't wear red lipstick, or you shouldn't. So I was like, we're just gonna like blast people with color. We're just gonna
Right.
do super bright, like super in your face, just these very unique perspectives on things. Yeah, all of that is very intentional.
And I love that, because I say all the time, it's so interesting that like Black women living in existence of like reaching the age of 25 and looking 20, reaching the age of 35 and looking 25. So it makes sense in a way of like this
Yes.
agelessness, you know? And I
Mm-hmm.
think I don't know, it's a lot of very magical things that you can kind of draw out from that in terms of just relative things, you know? And I think that that's why, from a context of just where Black women are of today, being kind of continuously pushing past particular statistics is an amazing thing to kind of like sit down and kind of understand as to how or why that's happening. Because as a Black man, I think we have, you know, certainly fallen into the depths of like this pressure and these like connotations that are put on us. Well, I
Yeah.
think for Black women, it's almost like y'all have found a way to certainly still be affected by that. They're like, y'all don't have, it's not like y'all don't have pain, obviously, and don't have plight, but for some reason, always use that to fuel whatever the next step is and try your best to bring up
Yeah.
somebody else. There's a lot of things that I think that the world can emulate from Black women in a lot of ways. And I think that's why I've always been a really, a big proponent of because there's a lot of things when it comes to the idea of allyship. I think for me, it's like I really want to be in community. I don't want to just be
Mm.
somebody who's on the side just playing support, but I want to be somebody that can genuinely be dependent on too. In various communities that I believe I have genuine loved ones in, not just friends. I have a gay friend. Y'all got a lot of homegirls. Like I love these people and I want to see them flourish as well. And I do my part by creating particular pieces of content to expand people's minds and hopefully reach men to understand that, you know, you don't have to hold things back. You don't have to see these inequities as something that, you know, that puts you above people.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what makes it a beautiful thing, because I think that a lot of men detach themselves to relate to that, you know, to the
Yes.
journey of women when it can
Yes.
tell you so much about yourself, tell you so much about the people around you, and give you some context and some understanding to the overall human experience. Because I think
Mm-hmm.
a lot of women pay attention to how men show up, but a lot of men don't do the same in return. And I think that that's why there's so many gaps in the way that we communicate and the way that we relate from a community
Yeah.
context. But you know,
Yeah.
that's my soapbox. I really want to, you know, kind of continuously speak to, you know, living and thriving through the
Mm-hmm.
process. And one thing that I really, really enjoyed in that post that you posted kind of giving that, overall reflection of how I feel like it was a span. I think you started in college and basically to now.
Hmm.
And college is such a formative years for everybody, and just that age range. No matter even if you don't choose to go to college, that age range is such a pivotal time, and it's so many people who I've seen make decisions. And I know you probably seen it going to school in the AUC. People who leave Spelman, leave Morehouse, leave CAU, and then do the thing. You know what I'm saying? They left and they did they shit, which it was like, oh, okay, so there is something about like, coming and doing and finding out whatever you need to find out about yourself,
Yep.
trying out whatever, customary, traditional way of doing a thing. And then something might spark on you or that connection might be made that can really set you up in life and you're on your way. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
It's been
Yep.
too many stories, it's been too many people. And so I think that those years are such a, vital time.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
do you do you believe that a young 18-year-old Kaya, which I'm assuming you started school. I'm assuming you started Spelman at 18. Um,
Yes. Yes.
um, what do you think she would say about, I'm assuming what, around like 20, which about 28, 27, something like
I
that?
just turned 29. Thank you.
29. Nah, happy belated. But
Thank you.
so damn, yeah. 11 years after, what do you think would be the difference? Do you think she would be surprised? Or do you think she'd be like, bitch, I told you this is what it's gonna be? Because I personally think that my 18-year-old self would be he would be cool with me, but he also be like, nigga, now you could have he would be also in like, we could have been already here or whatever.
Yeah.
It'd be a little bit critical of you, but how would you
Yeah.
say that your 18-year-old self would see Kaya now?
I think I said this the other day that I think my younger self, I don't think we would actually vibe. Like I think we actually might not even like each other.
Mm.
But I think that I think she would be surprised. I think there's some parts that she would be like, okay, that makes sense, and then there's other parts she'd be like, how did we? What are you talking about? Like that. That's not what the plan was. And I agree. I also think my younger self would have been like, well, we said by 27 we were going to be famous. So
Facts.
what happened?
Like, where'd you fuck this up?
Right, exactly. Like, she's probably like, "Where's the music?" Because I'm so confused. Like, you have two singles out. I don't understand. Um, and I think there's just things that come with age that like youth can never understand. And I even think about this with like my younger siblings and how I try to give them advice because like I literally can't give them 29-year-old advice. It doesn't matter if even if they're making wrong decisions. Like you can't say like, "Oh, don't fall in love with this person. It's not going to work out."
Facts.
That young youth doesn't hear that. And so it's like there's parts of my life that I wouldn't even be able to tell 18-year-old me about because she wouldn't get it. Like she wouldn't have the capacity and the perspective of life to understand it. But I
Mm.
will say that my young self, so ambitious. Oh my God.
Mm.
That's one part of me that I do miss and I am trying to bring back. But like that
Facts.
girl was like, it's gonna happen. I don't
Yeah.
care how, where, who, what, it's happening. I'm gonna do it. I don't care if I gotta move and do. Like she was just hungry, child. Like just so much ambition.
Mm-hmm.
Almost too much. And that definitely is what got me to where I am now. Just kind of like, that crazy running on fumes ambition. Like she
Yeah.
really did it, and she was. I guess I didn't appreciate how different I was back then because I always saw it as a hindrance that I
Yeah.
didn't fit into like the typical Spelman woman. And I really tried to conform, and I and eventually did at the end. But towards my senior year, I had to look down a bit more. Um, but I remember when I first got on campus, like I had locks, like I was a little curvier, like that was who I am, and that's literally who I am. But when I was at Spelman, I was like, okay, that's not the look, that's not the vibe, like the guys don't like that, like just all this like silly things that affect you when you're young.
Yeah.
Um, and looking back, like I wish that I would have just stood in who I was so much more. Because
Mm.
the funny thing is that now that we're all graduated, I have so many classmates that ask me for advice, and
Yeah.
that are now went to school for like the sociology and the bio degree, and now they want to be creative, and they're trying to
Mm-hmm.
figure out how to pivot. Um, And I've been a music major. I've always known that I was going to do music. I've never changed my mind about that. And I realize now how much of a blessing it is to have been that tied to my craft from the start, and to
Yes.
have never been, even with my parents. My parents never like, what's the plan B? Like, no one ever talked me out of my dream. And
Mm-hmm.
so many people don't have that privilege. And I realized that I was more special than I could even see. Because now I feel like we're all moving towards creativity and art and content, and everybody is creating something. And it's like a lot of us were ahead of the game, but being an artist back then wasn't cool, and now it is. So, like and I think a lot of us, should be giving ourselves more grace and respect for the fact that we've always been in art, always.
And you know what? I that part about just, giving yourself grace is so big because I think that, I too agree that my 18-year-old self was way more ambitious than what I am now. And I
It's
think,
just that 18, 18, we just went crazy. That's just
it's we were nuts. You know what I'm saying? We believed in ourselves to the highest forms, and you know what it's like to grow up in a smaller, smaller place, to
hmm
get out and get to a bigger space and a bigger place, and to finally put yourself amongst others and like compare yourself amongst others. That can really, shit. It was like, oh well, shit, I made it here, and I'm gonna make it somewhere else too. Like it's like it already gives you the fact that you got to that point,
hmm
just coming to Atlanta for school already gives you even more energy to feel like you can take on so much
Yes.
more. And I think for me, I was definitely a similar way. And I think life, being, welcoming, yourself into life always is the thing that kind of, humbles you in a way that you don't even expect. It's like I just knew once graduation was gonna happen, it's gonna be this, it's gonna be that, and it's going. And when you get sat down, and it's like, no,
hmm
actually, here goes some bills that you didn't know you was about to get. Here goes some responsibilities and random things you didn't know anything about. Oh, let's introduce you into adulting because
Yep.
you never really have been that yet. You thought you was grown, pun intended, but here you are. Here's some real, true grown ass shit for your ass to do.
hmm
And I think
hmm
that that is what brings down a sense of our ambition and adds some
Yes.
some practicality into the
Yes.
mix. And now we got to start thinking and making choices in a way where it's like,
hmm
all right, y'all, I don't have time to play. I don't really feel as brave as I used to because I don't want to misstep
Yeah.
because this shit gonna cost and it's gonna take even more time to get back and to recoup.
hmm
And I'm tired now. I wasn't
Yep.
as tired then. I remember
Very
being able.
tired.
I remember me, and shout out to my best friend Juwanzu, who I'm gonna see tomorrow. To see him for his birthday. Me and him used to stay up late as hell writing shit. You know what I'm saying?
hmm
Just talking about things we wanted to do, planning events, planning things we were about to create.
Yes.
We were doing so much of that on a daily basis.
Every single day. Every day.
And it's just like, and now, shit, I done fell asleep in front of this computer.
Literally, I leave my apartment and do one thing, and I'm like, ooh, I'm tired. I'm going back home. Like, I don't.
Man,
I have no idea. I talk to my film sisters about that all the time. I'm like, how the hell were we doing so many things? I was in pageants. I was in Glee Club. I'm doing taking these many credits. I'm doing, community service. I'm just like,
I did it. I did so much. I did so much, and like any only time I even reminded of it is when we talk about college, or anytime people who don't know me or don't know the AUC as a whole, and they're asking me things about how I was in college, and I started telling them things. It was like, hold on, you did this
yeah,
all in 1 year? I was like, yeah,
hmm
that's not. I was just talking about freshman year. My bad. If you want to know about, you want to know about other years, I could tell you. You know what I'm saying? But it was just like, yeah, I did all that then.
yes,
You know what I'm saying?
hmm
And it was so interesting. But I think that I have to understand though, and I think what's made it all come full circle and makes things all worth it is the fear and the anxieties that I had at 18, I don't have anymore, you
hmm
know?
hmm
And so it's like to be that passionate, to be that ambitious, the cost was I was moving because I was thinking that I could lose this. I was
hmm
reacting to things in a way and keeping myself busy because I didn't want to be quiet. I didn't want to be
yeah,
still because I'm like, this is gonna slow me down. This is as soon as I stop, that's what's gonna stop progress and,
yep,
and put me in a situation. And but and but I didn't make enough time for myself. I didn't make
yep,
enough time to get into me more to like hone into what I needed to feel fulfilled. Because by the time senior year came around, I was like, I don't want to do shit for nobody. Don't ask me to do nothing. I ain't doing no motherfucking events. I ain't speaking on no panels. I ain't doing none of this nonsense on campus. I don't want to do none of this. Don't ask. I'm not around. I don't live over here. I'm coming here, getting my little funky little, little few credits left, and I'm getting the fuck on. That's how I felt. Because it was like I've done so much. I put so much
Yes.
into that time. And also to realized, as I was getting out, that so much of my passions was changing. I admire
Mhm.
that you were immediately, knew what it is that you wanted to do and needed to lean into, and you knew that that was a creative thing. For me, I was so I leaned into practicality early, and it may be a
Mhm.
genderized thing, or it may just be
Mhm.
something, but I knew that I couldn't just, have this like creative thing that was going to be the thing that led me throughout school. So I studied marketing, I studied business. But as I got closer and closer to graduation, I started taking more MMA classes. I started taking more video production editing class. I started doing all these things that are way more who I am now than then.
Yes.
And it's like, damn, if I just would have, but it was crazy is I was doing video production in high school. I've always been taught, I've always
Mhm.
had like some type of creative outlet. It's just about letting it go, because I feel like I gotta show up in a very particular way when it was already there. I've always been
Yeah.
taught, always been, a communicator. I've always, I've kept writings. Literally, when I went home, um, this past month, I literally found a book of poetry that I was published in at the age of 11. And it was in the poem. It was such a gut wrenching thing to realize because I was 11 years old and I got published in this young authors little anthology of all these other kids in the state. And literally, the poem that I wrote was called Art.
Wow.
And it was breaking down how much I love art and all this, this, that, and the third. And I'm just like, damn, nigga, you was there. You was already there. You
Mhm.
didn't have to go nowhere. You was already in your bag. This was your thing. And you could have just cultivated that. But it's the not having the exposure, not having people to pour into that thing.
Yeah.
Because because I think the sad part about it, and you probably have seen this, when you show talents in a particular way that can be used and be used in other ways, people want to suggest things for you. And
Yeah.
because I'm a person who likes to speak, it's like, oh, you should be a lawyer, or you should be a this, you should be a that. And so I'm like, all right, I don't want to do that, don't want to do this, but I was definitely being pulled away from anything creative.
Yeah. I
And
think
that
back
wasn't really being
then,
towards me.
yeah, we also didn't have access to one, what a creative life could look like, as well as creative
Mm-hmm.
careers. Like with social media, so much changed as far as like what you can do for work and like make a decent living off of.
Mm-hmm.
But when we were in school, it wasn't like, oh, you should go work at a creative agency. You should do like digital marketing. You should, like no one was talking to us about stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I accidentally fell into the world of social media and doing that. And that's kind of what led me into the world of just like social media marketing and creative marketing, which I love. It's so much fun over there. Stressful, but fun. Um, so I think overall, it's like creative just they didn't know where to put us because everything was
Yeah.
like, either you go become Beyonce or that's it. Like it was no other option other than to become a superstar. And for
Right.
a lot of people don't even want to become a superstar. Like, and sometimes people get to the superstardom and realize like, I don't want to do this. Like, which is why you have people like Andre 3000 that's just walking around with a flute because it's like it's it's a lot of pressure to be there and to be that high up, and a lot of creatives honestly don't want all of that. They just want to be able to make a living doing the things that they love, and there's so many ways to do that now that we didn't have before. And even with me having two music degrees and like doing all of that, like my music department wasn't even talking about different creative careers. It was like you become a superstar or you become a teacher. Like that's it. Like, what else are you
That's it.
supposed to do? And now it's like again, just so many things that you can do. And like video production doesn't sound crazy as a job when it did sound crazy as a job in like 2012. Like
For
so
sure.
it's a lot has changed, and that's why I'm always on my creative friends because I feel like we are even like doubting ourselves more. I think artists, like people that have been doing art for so long, we're actually doubting ourselves more. And then there's people that never really created that are just like, creating everything now. So I try to
Yes.
tell people, like my people, that I'm like, look, you have the talent. You know what you're doing. Some of them have degrees in what they want to do. And so I'm like, please do
You
it.
got it.
Please. So there's people out here with like 20% of your talent that are just like out here making moves, making content, getting these deals, doing whatever. And I'm like, there's nothing stopping any of us from taking that on. And you don't have to become like, the content creator if you don't want to, but I do think it's weird. I feel like the artists are now just more afraid than we used to
Mm-hmm.
be to like
Mm-hmm.
step out and be who we are.
Yeah, and I think that's why I feel like you have to. I think you have to make certain decisions to lean into who you are,
Yeah.
lean into what it is, because that's the only way that you're going to really start living and not just surviving and really get to that space of thriving in it. Because I think so many people believe that it's chasing a particular dollar amount in corporate America and a particular status and position will eventually make you happy, and it doesn't.
It does
I met
not.
too many men who are very unhappy people,
Same.
and they have a lot of what they want, but are very unhappy people.
Hmm.
And I've even discussed that with so many of my homegirls, just about like men they've dated that they don't understand like why they are the way they are, and
Mm.
I give them like just a little bit of little peek into the things, and I'll be like, well, I'll put it to you like this: it's all a sham. We don't want to be in charge. We don't want to have to be responsible for nobody. We don't want to be breadwinners. We don't want to. It's a lot of pressure.
Oh my god.
And so the idea that y'all love to like point out how men love to be the small spoon and to not have to make a decision, that is, we live
Yeah.
off that. because
Yeah.
because it's finally a moment of like not having to be in that role, not having to be in
Yeah.
that position, not having to have it all together, because we have to have it all together. We're being told that we will never get a break, that we
Yeah.
have to work twice as hard while we are able to, so that when we do retire, then we can try to be leisurely because of all the work that we've done thus far.
Hmm.
And you can just live off of that. But imagine that as a life, though. Like you will never really stop thinking
You will
about how
never
you have to
stop.
provide for people, that you never really get a break in that. And that's
Yeah.
sad. so
Yeah.
you so you either choose to opt into the game of capitalism and try to win that game and still be unhappy, or you try to satisfy your own desires and be like, well, look, I know this might not make me any money, but at least I'm gonna be happy with myself creating
Yeah.
something. And then you have the folks who I believe, where I'm more so in, is finding that fine line where it's like, I gotta make money to sustain myself, I gotta support people, but I also you know gotta be happy too. And I'll be
Yeah.
damned if
Gotta
I'm
be
not.
happy.
I'll be damned if I'm not. And I think that a lot of people just don't like those ideas.
Yes.
And I think
They're
that
very scary.
yeah, and I think that this is a great segue into next thing. I think that you are a beautiful, beautiful example of a person who always cling to their outlets of expression, and like found really, really dope ways to express, something that you felt, something that you were going through, something that you just wanted to get off your chest, even if it wasn't personal.
Mhm.
The fact that you just put it out the way you put it out. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? I love that you incorporated merch with some of your music. I love those particular displays, and I think that overall, I believe that we need to. I think those things are very radical things to do,
Yeah.
and they're radical because we need to see ourselves do things in this broader context of our overall stories. What would you say is the value of the outlets that you created for yourself, and do you have outlets also that people might not even know that keeps you sane?
Oh, yeah, I think similar to how I guess like my presence on Twitter began, it's very similar to Grown, where it was just like I never had any intention behind anything. Like I never was like I'm
Yeah.
going to become a person that tweets viral things. Like like that was
Mm-hmm.
not ever my goal.
Right.
But words have always been my thing. Writing has always been my thing, and I didn't even know. Like I knew that I was like a good writer when it came to like writing papers and like writing
Mm-hmm.
things. Like I'm pretty good at writing. Um,
For sure.
but I didn't know how that could translate into social media, and I really didn't think about it.
Yeah.
But again, a beautiful thing happens when you just allow yourself the space to try and to be. And I was just so shocked by how many people were like relating to like the smallest parts of my life, like the smallest thoughts that I have. I'd wake up in the morning and just tweet something, and people are like, "Oh my god, that's exactly how I feel today. How did you know? You're in my head." And I'm just like,
I don't
this
know.
is where I am. So I guess we're in this together.
Right.
And I think like it really revealed to me that throughout it all, like we're so much more like than we think that we are. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I've always wanted to keep this authenticity kind of like at the core of everything that I do because I realize like, we just don't talk about a lot of stuff. Like people get the
Facts.
accolade that you've always wanted or they make the amount of money that you've always wanted to make and then you just think that's it. You think life's just like well, that's it. I just have to make the money. And it's like, no,
Mm-hmm.
there's still life and there's still growing and healing and things to go. So I never wanted anyone to think that no matter what I accomplished, that I just like, am just this like, bad bitch that's living her best life. I mean, like, yes, sometimes I am, but also like, I'm still going through stuff. I'm still learning lessons. Um, so yeah, like I think that the relation to people in the community through words like really, really spoke to me. And so the
Mm-hmm.
more people gave to me, the more I gave to them. And it's just kind of just been this continuous like exchange of things that I'm just so blessed, like organically, naturally happened. Like I never could have seen it coming, but it also speaks to, like years, like you said, you was writing poetry at 11, like same. I was doing all that stuff too. And we didn't realize that all of that is like training for years. We've been training and writing and no one knew. And now that work is blossoming. Like that's literally what
Yeah.
art is.
Yeah. And I've tried to, keep that as a reminder to other people too. Think about what it is that you did at the earliest of times, and that might speak to what you need to do more of now. Even if it's not your, you should pivot and make that your whole profession. It's probably something that you need to create an outlet with. I paint now, um,
Ooh,
but I've always painted. I've always drawn and painted, but it's never been something I cared to show.
yeah,
And I think if anything, if I didn't lean into certain creative things, I think I've always kept them around me for my own kind of balancing, and my
yeah,
own grounding, sense of grounding. Um, and I think that's it feels like people need to do that more.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
definitely feel like, for Black men specifically, we definitely need to. I love the new wave of of men gardening, because I think
Mm-hmm.
that there is such an interesting symbolism of like caring for something that really doesn't give you anything back.
Mm-hmm.
Because in context, I think that that's what so many men on the internet speaking to now. As to like, well, all right, I'm gonna pay for everything. I'm gonna do this, that. What I'm gonna get, huh? What I'm gonna
Yeah,
get?
it's a lot of
And
like hurt. I think between black men and women, there's a lot of hurt and a lot of like trust issues.
yes.
And they continue to grow the more that we try to have dialogue around them because we're not really talking to each other and
Mm-hmm.
hearing each other. And
Mm-mm.
it's it's a mess. Yeah, to put it lightly, it's a mess.
It's a big ass mess. It's a big ass mess. Like I'm so, you know, I definitely had a point of frustration. I think at the top of, maybe it was 21 or it was last year, I can't remember, but just hearing the rhetoric around men being involved in this medium was one that really kind of fucked me up, because it was like, damn, like not 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 I've been doing this for as long as I've been doing this, and now more people are jumping into it, finding kind of immediate success
Yeah,
because they're the
saying
content is
bullshit.
so controversial. So it's
Hmm.
like they're just catching these viral moments, regurgitating these points that have honestly been around for for decades,
Yes.
and have always been something that could ignite argument and ignite some type of interaction from people. And for me to know so many men out here who doing the work and creating the work in so many different ways, like I know men who are not only making content around Black masculinity, but around Black love, around Black brotherhood, around about building ourselves and healing certain things. But it's like those aren't the things that are going viral all the time. They'll go viral every now and again. They'll have a moment. Usually, it's always a celebrity element that's attached to it.
Hmm.
But I see a pathway where there could be some type of education and growth that comes from those things, because just like I feel like the Alice Walkers and the Toni Morrisons did with literature and really gave so many women language to
Yeah.
describe their experiences and gave them antidotes that made them feel seen. I think that's kind of what, oddly enough, what's happening with podcasting. And for a lot of men,
Yeah.
even if it's a bad influence, it's interesting how there's this more leaning into the idea of somebody saying something that you feel like speaks to you, and
Yeah.
now it's creating
Yeah.
more questions, it's creating more things happening that weren't happening before.
Yeah.
So I feel like
Yeah.
there is going to be a point of converging where they're going to realize like some of these people they've been listening to aren't good for them and don't have their best interest in mind, and it's just was trying to make some money because they probably
Yeah.
don't even believe in half of these things.
Yeah.
But and even if they do, it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
You'll see what
Yeah.
happens when you kind of continuously have that lifestyle and ideology through the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Um, but I do want to kind of stay on that kind of relationship topic, because I think that so much of what what you've put out from a your context of your music and a lot of things that you've tweeted that also have went viral as well, either are like tipping on two things: either something that you're speaking to about love and relationships, or something about yourself, some
Yes.
growth things. You know what I'm saying? It ain't always about niggas and dating lives and things like that. It's never always about what's going on with your love life, Kai.
Mm-hmm.
But it do be though.
It
It
do
do be.
be.
It
It
do
do
be.
be.
It
It do
definitely.
be.
So being that the first introduction into this podcast was us speaking about fuck
Yes,
boys,
it was. Yes, it was.
and it was a time where I wanted to, I think it was a time that I was having a very, revelation with myself,
Mm-hmm.
and I was trying to heal what I believe my, former version of myself was, because I think it was so peculiar. I thought I was, I think I was, shout out to Insecure. I remember relating to Lawrence so much. I remember
God.
relating to Lawrence so much in that time, because it was like, damn, like this is I know I showed up this exact way.
Yeah.
And when Tasha was at that damn park telling his ass, she was like, you a good nigga that's still a fun. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh. And it hit me, because I'm like, from a perspective like that, it's like it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like you aren't over your ex. You aren't doing this right. You are doing too much in this situation, because this is a soft place for you to land, and you want to say no more, but you're not. You know what I'm saying? You wanna not lean into this, but you are. You aren't communicating what this isn't or what this is. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, this is gonna end up with you being in the real terrible fuckboy pile of dudes that this person has interacted with. But I would love to know, since then, have you had to interact with more fuckboys? Have you just been like, fuck all these people? You know what I'm saying? I don't want to deal with none of
Oh,
y'all.
yeah,
I
that's
would
so
love to know
funny.
how it's interacted, how your love life has
Has
changed in the
changed.
years.
Yeah, well, I will say the well of fuckboys is never going to run dry. That's always going to be a plethora just of abundance is always going to be there. But I will say that I made the decision when I was a senior in college that I was going to stay single to 25. Because
Mm,
at the time I was like, I had ended a relationship that I was not the best partner in. And I kind of
mm,
like take the blame for why that relationship was like so bad and toxic, because I didn't
yeah.
understand, one, I didn't understand love, as
Okay.
far as like how to receive it. And I
Mm,
also didn't understand why it triggered me so much to be treated well. Um,
mm,
for someone to care about me, like why that triggered me. I didn't understand that. And I was like, I want to figure out things about myself before I'm with someone, because I don't want to like damage them because of my bullshit. And then at the
facts.
same time, I'm a freshman in college. I don't have anything in my life together. I might stay in North Carolina, I might move to New York. Then I got into grad school, ended up moving to Spain for a year. I was like, nothing felt like, yes, let's start a relationship right now. So I wasn't even thinking about that.
Yeah.
Then I get to 25 and I'm just like, still figuring it out. Life is still kind of falling into place. And I didn't feel the need or the want to be in a relationship. So I was like, you know what, let's just add a few more years onto this, stay single a little longer. And then I got to like 28. I would say like maybe last year is when the the flip just switched, and I was like, you know what? I feel ready, and my gut
Mm.
that felt ready.
Yeah.
And in that time that I was like committed to staying single, I definitely was dating, and I think that this is what has helped me really understand about like what I want, because
Okay.
I was dating. I was dating all kinds of people because in my mind I was like, I know I don't want anything serious. Like I know, and it's
Yeah.
been communicated between us. Like I'm like not looking for you to be my man. We know what we're doing here, right? So I was like with anybody from the bus driver to the man with kids to the corporate banker to the artist still trying to figure it out. Like I was with all kinds of people because again, in my mind, your life doesn't impact mine. I don't care what you're doing. I'm just interested to experience you as a person and vice versa. Um,
Right.
so that taught me a lot about people. It taught me a lot about men. It taught me a lot about what I wanted from someone, what actually felt like care, both emotionally, mentally, sexually, all of that stuff.
Hmm.
And now I'm in such a place where I'm like, I have no regrets. Like, I don't feel like, oh, I should have dated more. I should have had more fun. I'm like, I did every fucking thing you're supposed to do in your 20s. Okay. I did
Right.
all of that. And I'm so proud of myself for giving myself that space because I feel like as women, we don't do that. It's like, you go on
Facts.
like 2 or 3 dates that piss you off, and you're just like, fuck it, I'm never dating again. Like, my man has to fall
Hmm.
out the sky and like come up to me because I'm done with this. Like our tolerance for getting to know people is very low. Um,
Very.
and so a lot of women, we don't know how to like because when I was casually dating, it was like such a radical thing. And I think that's why on Twitter it would kind of like hit the way it would hit because like black women weren't talking about dating, casually dating, and like casually having sex. And no one was talking about that because that's like
Yeah.
not what you do. Like that's kind of like
Facts.
hoish. Like that's not the way to find your mate or whatever.
Hmm.
And I was
Loose, if you will.
loose, if you will, right? And I was just kind of like, I just wanted to meet people and have fun and just
Yeah.
explore and just see what was out there. And I think, again, for a lot of women, we don't, because that's what men do. Men do that's what all the time. Like they,
Yeah.
do whatever. But women, we just like, you sit here and I'm going to wait for my husband and he's going to pick me and then we're going to like, and I'm not good at waiting on people. Really not.
Right. Right.
So that period really, really taught me a lot about myself.
Hmm.
And now when I say that I'm ready for a relationship, it's because one, I've done the personal work. Two, like, I've had my experiences of fun and ups and downs and all of that. And there's like, I feel like there's like a capacity, I have a capacity to give now. And I understand what I would be giving. And honestly, I want to grow. Like, I'm not coming to a relationship perfect and I don't expect anyone to come to me perfect. But it's like, I want to
Yeah.
see how we can make each other grow. And I'm ready to give from like a mature place. Whereas like if I was trying to be in a relationship at 21, it's like, what the hell I'm going to give you? Like, I don't have anything to give you. At least I didn't. So now
Mm.
it's like, it's dating is still whatever, it's still a mess. But I just have so much like peace, because I'm
Yeah.
like, I know what I want and I know what it feels like. And anything that's not that, I immediately know like, it's not that, I don't have to like stress myself out about it because it's been years of doing that self-discovery work. Like, I don't have to do that anymore at 29. you know?
Right. And it's crazy how I feel a lot more equipped now.
Mm-hmm.
I literally had introduced a new phase of, a new context of dating to my therapist yesterday. I had a session yesterday and I was telling him about it. It's the I don't know if people get joy from, certain small things they get from their therapist, but I always get joy if he like is like, oh, tell me more. Anytime. Mind you, I'm telling him he knows all the other business of my life, but when he really like, hold on, let me know. It always get me excited, And like it's just funny, but because literally, I had ended it by saying like, yeah, I'm winding off the pool, like I'm gonna open myself up to dating older women and everything. He was like, let me know about how that's gonna go. He was like, let me know how that go. And I just had to tell him kind of, the thing that I'm realizing is how more equipped I am at this age, and how more equipped I am because of the experiences I've been through. And I think a lot of people gotta slow themselves down
Oh yeah.
sometimes. Um, because I think that so many people really need to know that, there's certain things that you haven't been able to learn because of the partners that you've chosen. And that's okay
Yeah.
because you could still get that. You can probably get that on your own without even being in partnership. but you need to know that there's certain things you might not have or haven't been able to figure out to be the type of partner that you want to be.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that I forever am pushing to people now, is to lean in on the thing that you can genuinely control. I
Yes.
think a lot of, like, you speaking to women getting, upset and tired with, the actual action of dating, going on
Mm-hmm.
dates and it not going well, meeting terrible people, being on apps, going out in public, having to dress up, be cute, be seen, all those things. And it's just not getting you a result that you feel like we want.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, do what it is that you can control, baby.
Yeah.
Don't overextend yourself to think that you gotta do some type of, magical thing to just have this nigga fly into your lap.
Mm-hmm.
But also to don't underdo things either. Like I tell
Yeah.
my homegirls all the time, you're not gonna find that nigga at Trader Joe's. I get it. But from the way that you describe who you want, that man might not be there.
Yeah.
And not saying that he don't shop there or none of that. He probably is a man of convenience. You
Oh,
say you want a man who
most men
plans,
are.
who does this, who does that. He probably gets Instacart. He getting up the grocery pickup. He
Mm-hmm.
not even gonna be at the store. He got other things to do. You don't got time,
Yeah.
And so you got to think about these things and go
Yeah.
where they probably will be. And if you can't even at least do that, then you ain't really trying to win. You ain't really trying to
Yeah.
find your
Yeah.
person. Do what it is that you can control and be okay with that. And also set your standards. Push out and set your standards based in those things too. Like, we don't control people. We can't make our partners do anything we want them to do. It's like, oh no, I'm gonna date a man that does this, does that. And I was like, oh, okay, all right, sure. Like, they might do it, but you might find out that that's something they didn't really care to do, and now you
Yeah.
feel like, oh damn, I'm making you do something that you don't want to do. Yeah, because
Yeah.
it should be something that you can create the space for somebody to feel, and not one where somebody just is coming to do something for you.
Yes.
And I think that that's how so much of relationships have been. They haven't really been partnerships. They've been more so just people kind of coming in and providing a service for
Mm.
all intents and purposes. I think there's more extensions to that idea of a soft place to land. There's also a warm place to be, a
Mm.
safe place to just vent. But
Yes.
you don't care about. But that, I think the whole idea is that you don't really care about the whole person. All they
Yes.
are to you is just sex. All they are to you is just somebody who will let you in and be vulnerable with them, but you don't really care for the vulnerability back.
Yeah.
It's all those things, and I think that's what so much of the toxic connections that people speak to in their 20s is. That it's like, oh, you're with him because you're getting this and he's getting this from you, and y'all are acting very much cool with the exchange until you don't.
Yeah.
And I think that that's why a lot of people be in real weird situations,
Very, very weird.
but and I think that nowadays, shit, I think folk boys are still very much alive, but they it's a whole different game now. It's different.
Yeah,
Dating is completely
it's so
different.
different because we're older now and there's more responsibility. It feels like when you meet
Mm-hmm.
someone you like, it's kind of like, shit, well, this is me. I got to start thinking about marriage and buying a ring and saving up, and it's just like you don't worry about the same things. But I think like even when I was dating, casually dating based for all of my 20s, like removing the result of like us getting into relationships really just helped me focus on like what the experience was and who this person
Yeah,
was and like what
yeah,
did I learn from it? How could I grow? Like, like that really helped me not get so caught up in the fact that, like, oh, well, he didn't ask me to be his girlfriend. Like, what is this? So that
yeah.
was really important for me. And one of the things that honestly I always look for in other people is like, I want a partner that loves the hell out of their life. Like,
Mm,
I want to know that you are, because the saying is like, oh, you have to date people that like you or something. Like people always say that, like date people that like you. I'm like, you should date people that like themselves, because
man,
that's one thing I've learned about dating, especially when it comes to men, is that a lot of men do not live their lives. They go
no,
to work, they go to the gym, they come home.
yes,
Like they're not
yes,
doing anything else. And not because they don't
yes.
want to, but it's honestly a lot of them don't think that that's the kind of life that they deserve because they're not
Mm-hmm.
where they want to be yet in their career. A lot of men
Facts.
kind of like set these really, really hard benchmarks for themselves. Where I'm like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
until I make $1 million, I'm not gonna like ever go out. And it's like, yes, you are. Why are you doing that to yourself? I have so many friends
You
that do
should.
that, or it's like until I lose, this much weight, or until I get my muscles back up, and I'm not going to do this. And it's like, so a lot of men are like whether consciously or subconsciously, are going through life, are kind of like punishing themselves for not being
Yes.
where they want to be at. And it's like,
Yes.
so that to your comment earlier was like you'll meet them that have all this money and they're still not happy. It's because they haven't experienced enjoying life fully to the full
Mm-hmm.
extent, especially black men. So it's like I'll meet men that
Mm-hmm.
are like, when I ask them, so what do you do for fun? Like, what are your hobbies? They're like, I don't really do anything. Or even when you specifically ask, like, what pleases you? What can I do
Yeah.
that pleases you? They cannot answer that. Like, literally
It's
can't answer
hard.
that. Like,
It's hard. Oh, it's hard, Kaya. It's hard. It's touching my soul right now.
whereas while if you
Cause
ask me that question, I'm like, oh, I tell you, okay, I love flowers. I love, to go walk on the beach. I love, when you kiss me right here. I love when but then just be like, I'll get back to you on that. Just like,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
It's but that's kind of what I mean by like those outlets and like finding out those things because I like I think I'm done a lot of things for myself to better myself, my self esteem, my relationship with self. But like even I'm still stumped a lot with some of those things. Truly, like I remember last year somebody asking me about like my hobbies. They was like this is work. Like, yes, this might be cool for you to create all this shit and all that, but this is really work for you. Just by way of how serious you take it, this
yeah,
is obviously work for you. What do you do for fun, though? Like, what do you do that ain't got shit to do with none of this? And I was just like, I mean, like, I'm like, because this is where all my free time goes.
yeah,
So I'm like, damn, I guess I don't really make space or make time enough for this thing or that thing. And there's things that I have interest in that I want to make more time in. I just don't. I think
yeah,
that's the thing. It's like there is things that I like to do outside that have nothing to do, no benefit from nobody else, just truly, a benefit to me that I don't make enough time for. But also to, in context to, enjoyment and what brings joy. I think that those things are such very deep things that we don't really make space for.
hmm
Uh, Due to everything you just said, kind of, those hard benchmarks are, really, 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 truly like a bane of our existence. And because they really, really feel like so heavy.
hmm
And I remember telling my best friend who was just, who came and visited me this past weekend, who was telling me about she's one of the most ambitious women I've ever known. And she was talking about how like a certain amount of money isn't that much money. And I was like, I'm going to tell you something. Men can't think like that. A lot of men don't think like that. And she was just like, what do you mean? I was like, if we sit here and think in each year, oh, all I made was this many thousands of dollars or whatever, which might be more than we made the year prior and more than we've made in life. We can't think like that because we already do it in other ways in our lives. We already minimize our progress and minimize our where we are in life to the umpteenth degree because we feel like, well, I mean, I ain't shamed. Yeah, I'm in tech, but I ain't Steve Jobs yet. You
right,
know what I'm saying? I do a little bit of music, whatever, but I ain't Jay-Z yet. So I mean, it really don't matter. We already doing that internally to ourselves. So we have to be like, find those contentment points where we can.
yeah,
Like find some sense of contentment wherever we can because we do need to fucking ease up and like smell the damn roses, smell the damn flowers,
yeah,
and allow ourselves to receive things. Like I realized being that way is what made me a bad gift receiver. Motherfuckers want to give me things, and I'm like, no. How much money is this? I don't know. I don't want to put you in a bind. I don't know. Maybe I should take it. Like it took like I think a ex partner of mine wanted to give me some AirPods that she got that she was planning to buy with a gift card her mama got her. She had to break all this shit down for me to be like, okay, yeah, you can get this one. She was like, this isn't my money. This was a gift to me. It's a big ass amount of money on this damn Apple gift card. I was just gonna get this. Do you want some too?
hmm
Yeah, sure. And it was just like, why did I make that so hard? Like, why
yeah,
did I make that a thing? Somebody want to give me a gift, a good thing,
hmm
a useful thing. And I'm over here like, I don't know, I don't want you to. And it's like, that was how I knew, like, damn, this shit is really a blind spot for me that I need to like make more space and time for. And I hope that a lot of people listening really feel seen in that. And I also hope that when you do have for people who happen to date men who have this same, hurdle to get through, because I think it's a very much a general thing that a lot of men kind of gotta acknowledge and get past.
Yes.
I hope there's some grace on, to their partners, from their
Yes.
partners, because they don't know that that's how
Mm-hmm.
they show up. They don't know that they really aren't really that. That's why motherfuckers don't come off that excited. It's like, my nigga, we in Jamaica. Why aren't you happier right now? I got these braids. I got my nails done and shit. How come you are not smiling? You just sitting here just sipping your little cocktail. I'm over here making videos and pictures. You just there with
Yeah.
your trunks and your tank top and your shades. Big just like, yeah, I'm in Jamaica. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big,
Don't even
not even,
know.
can't even really get into it because I know what that feeling is. I've done that before. I've been on vacation with partners and been like, my mind is everywhere. I was like, all right, so we're gonna have to go from here to here today. The itinerary, I'm probably trying to spend about this much money. How much they're gonna cost? We're going on an excursion today, so I got to remember to
Yeah.
get up early. I'm thinking I'm still doing this thing instead of allowing myself to fucking
Yeah.
relax and be on vacation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's so weird. One thing that I think I noticed with men is with the difference between men and women and how you know this is a real thing is if you ask people the philosophical question of, if you had all the money in the world, what would you do tomorrow? A lot of women speak to not doing nothing. They was like, chill. I would do this. It'd be a lot of inactivity. Men speak to all these things, these actions. Oh, well, I'll finally be able to do this, and I'll finally be able to do that, and I'll buy this, and I'll buy that. And it's like, damn, even when you got everything you need, you still want to work. You still want to do something.
Yeah.
It says so much about how deep it is, but to each his own, to each his own. We've done so much. We've said so much, Kaya. I appreciate you so much.
This has been a
You've
beautiful
grown,
talk.
you've grown so much, pun intended.
Yes, I
And I'm glad,
have.
and I'm glad to to be a witness of it and a supporter of it, because I think you are. This is just this is just the first act for real. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, just getting started.
You got so much more life to live, so much more to
Yeah.
happen. Let me bring up my little music. But I have one more thing I want to ask you.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if this is coming through, but this is the send it down portion of the episode where it's a call to action. Sometimes I like to, put this into a space of where you could put, get some words of wisdom, tell people to do something. What I want you to do is tell the people words to live by. And right now, like, what do you say are the best words to live by that you're living by now that you would love to share with other people?
Mm. You are deserving of help.
Say that again.
You are deserving of help.
Mm.
No matter where you are in life, no matter how accomplished, you will always be deserving of help and have the right to ask for it. And that's just something that you have to believe every single day. Like, you don't have to do it all by yourself. You were not put here to do it all by yourself. Humans are social beings. We're supposed to be talking to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and you don't have to carry the weight of your dream in your life by yourself.
Mm.
Ask for help.
I needed that one, girl. I needed to hear that one. I ain't gonna hold you. Ooh, yeah, that's it. That's it right there. That's it. That's it. Community is everything, and
Yes,
people need to lean into it. Yeah. Say something if you need something,
absolutely.
and definitely take that help.
Take the
Receive
help.
that help too. Well, I thank you so much, Kyle. Please let everybody know how they can support you and follow you everywhere. And make sure y'all support, because she is a great person to support. You're gonna be entertained. You're gonna be put on. You're gonna be put on. You're gonna be informed. You're gonna get
Yeah.
all the things. So it's a great person to definitely connect with. Let them know.
Yes, I am on all socials as Kaya Nova. Working on new music that should be out later this year. I'm very, very excited about. You
Hey.
can follow Grown at Grown Mag on Instagram and It's Grown Mag on Twitter. Our sixth digital cover is coming out very, very soon, and there's someone very, very special on the cover, so you're not going to want to miss that.
Mm.
And yeah, I'm trying to get on threads and still, but please give me some time because I'm old. I'm a millennial. It's going to take me a second. But
Man, it's too much.
yeah.
No, it's way too much. I thank you so much, Kaya. I really do appreciate it. You giving me your time. This is gonna be a good one. This is gonna be a great one, as always.
Yeah.
I am Rodney Perry. You can follow me everywhere at Kings_Memoirs. Follow the podcast on IG at Simply King Pod. Follow my business page at Life is King. If you need anything digital marketing or creative production related, give me a call. Get a consultation today. I appreciate y'all for tuning in and always supporting and sharing. This is, as I always say, family size content. So you don't want to, you'll be crazy to eat that whole bag by yourself. So go ahead, give some to somebody else. Share it around. You feel me? I appreciate you. I appreciate you. This has been the Soulfully Conscious Podcast for humans, simply being humans. I've been Rodney Perry. This has been the incomparable Kaya Nova. And this is Simply King. Peace.